Let's look at our rules going into this first round. Okay, the best take gets 5 points. The second best take gets 3. The third best take gets 1 point. And again, because we have 4 panelists, fourth place, unfortunately, gets 0. Let's move into our very first topic of the night. The Baltimore Ravens absolutely smacked the Buffalo Bills by a final score of 35-10. Derrick Henry, $199 on the ground. It had over 200 yards total in terms of, from scrimmage, starting with an 87-yard run to the house. Josh Allen turned the football over, not his greatest night as well. Buffalo Bills suffering their first loss of the season. Mike, I know you're a big Josh Allen guy. Obviously, you're a Buffalo Bills guy. I'll ask you first. Was that blowout loss by the Bills or win by the Ravens, was that bad Bills or great Ravens?
Great Ravens. I think the Ravens are a really good football team, and I think that they should have been expected to be a really great football team from the beginning of the year. Everybody knew that the AFC North was going to be a juggernaut of a division. I didn't think anybody thought that any of those teams would be bad. I mean, now I think we're kind of discovering that the Browns could be pretty bad. But Baltimore, I think right now, what they're showing you is that, especially since they brought Derrick Henry into the building, they took their biggest strength and just made it stronger. They have dominated over the past several years by running the football, keeping the tempo of the game in their favor, controlling the clock, being efficient on the ground. And they've done that even to an nth degree now that they have Derrick Henry in the backfield. I mean, we're looking now through 4 weeks. Derrick Henry's averaging 120 yards a game. He's got almost 500 yards on the ground already. I mean, he's really just kind of fitting into that offense. And everybody that kind of thought that he was done and maybe not even done, but just slowed down a little bit. I mean, boy, is he just really, he's shoving it on him. He really is. So I think that I've said this from the beginning. Lamar Jackson, I've always called him the Ferrari with snow tires. I just think, he has the electricity, but he's also in previous years and leading up to this year as well, shown the efficiency in that offense where they really needed to become, they've become a threat. So I think Baltimore is really, really good. And Buffalo, they were blowing teams out. I think eventually they were going to come back to earth. I think this was the perfect game to do it. On the road at Baltimore against a team that controls the clock, it was due to happen at one point.
No question. That's why I took the Ravens to win this game. Buffalo off a blowout win on a short week. Ravens are in a spot where you don't want to fall 1-3 when you're playing the Cincinnati Bengals next week, kind of getting back on track. Good take on your part, Mike. And again, we'll see you obviously at the end of this round where everybody's point total is. To you, Tim, was this more of this blowout loss by the Bills and blowout win by the Ravens, depending on how you see it? Was it bad Bills or was it great Ravens?
No, it was great Ravens. I mean, Baltimore got off to what could have been an electric start to the season, but losing to the Chiefs by a pinky toes nail. That's how much they lost to Kansas City. And then, of course, they fell flat. I think just reeling from that Kansas City loss on opening night, they fell flat against Vegas. And then to follow it up with, I think the game against Dallas really showed me how good that this Ravens team can actually be, because it's not just the fact that they ran up, to a massive lead on the Cowboys, but more to the fact that when you look at different parts of that game, and especially when Dallas was coming back and that final drive for Baltimore, Lamar Jackson became a grown man, deciding to keep that ball on the last drive to get that first down to seal the victory against Dallas. And and just Lamar hyping up his guys, being the leader that he can be. And that's what I saw on Sunday night. I mean, Baltimore came to play. And, it's when you look at like the stats and everything, like Baltimore and Buffalo are middle of the pack, 13th and 14th respectively when it comes to yards per game allowed. But when you look at that Ravens offense, the addition of Derrick Henry could not have been a better fit for Baltimore. So I truly believe that, listen, Buffalo's a good team. I still don't think with their young core in terms of receivers that they will, be that preeminent playoff contender. I think they'll make the playoffs, but in terms of being a contender, I don't think so. So looking at Baltimore, great team that they have, and it looks like they know what they're doing. From day one against Kansas City to now, they know what they're doing, and that's where I'm nervous if I am in the AFC North.
Yeah, no question. And that was You said kind of finding, who they are and what they're about. I think you really saw that with, that first game against Kansas State. Lamar Jackson had basically 400 yards of offense by himself. But I think in this game, you saw them, and even to a certain degree against Dallas, Derrick Henry is not great. It may work on Madden, but he's not great in the read option, type of system. He's a classic, just turn around and give me the football in an I formation. Let me go do my thing. And so I think you're seeing Tom Monken and the Ravens kind of be able to adjust to that. So good points to your part. To you, EJ, is this more about the bad Buffalo Bills on Sunday or the great Baltimore Ravens on Sunday?
The easy answer is a little bit of both, but I'm going to actually lean to the bad Buffalo Bills. I think the result of the 3-0 start was facing bad teams, especially the Dolphins without Tua for the large majority of the game. And I know they jumped out to the huge lead, and that was mostly a result of their defense. Here's the thing. You knew what the Ravens wanted to do coming into that game. They wanted to run the football. Lamar Jackson, when he throws under 20 times, has a very, very good record in his career. And he only threw 18 times. His leading receiver was a running back, Justice Hill. So here's the thing. You've got to understand who you're playing. When it comes to the Baltimore Ravens, they signed Derrick Henry. He has that monster run on the first play of the game and sets the tone for what it's going to be like the rest of the game. That defense didn't adjust. They continued to let them run down their throat all night. And then on the other side, the Bills couldn't use their best player, which is James Cook, in the run game because they're always chasing points the majority of the game. They don't really have a wide receiver one. I know Khalil Shakir is pretty good. Keon Coleman's still coming along. But I think it's about them really finding out who they're going to be on the offensive side of the ball, because if Josh Allen isn't going to give you 3 touchdowns through the air and add another on the ground, I don't know that this Bills team overall can make up for the deficiencies from the rest of the team. We know that Josh Allen is really good. I think that they should be in the trade market, I guess, for a wide receiver. I feel like, I don't know. I think that the Bills were overall just bad in this game, stopping the run, and quite frankly bad on offense as well when they couldn't use their best weapon in James Cook.
Well, a large reason I think, and you make good points about their inability to stop the run. A lot of that is just because of injuries to the middle of that defense, in particular their linebacking core. So like that's something. Could they maybe go out and get a guy, a linebacker at the deadline, to kind of shore that up? Maybe. But I listen. You make good points in that. There's a way. Listen, we know how great Josh Allen is, but there is a way that Buffalo wants to play football, just like the Ravens. They want to run the football. James Cook. They want Josh Allen to be kind of spreading the ball around more than what he did in years past when it was force feeding Stephon Diggs. So just the point, they kind of got out of that. Finally, to you, Paris, was this game more about the Baltimore Ravens being great and on their A game, or the Buffalo Bills having a bad game?
Oh, this is 100% the Ravens being on their A game. I mean, the Bills start off the season. They start off with some good wins. Other than the Cardinals game when they started off really behind, they've been dominant, but they have a really young team. So at some point, there's going to be a moment where they are going to have to face some adversity. And this was that game. This is kind of the game they needed, though, for the young team. You got to have that adversity, and they faced it with Baltimore. And then with Derrick Henry, once he gets going, it's kind of like Stephen Curry, the NBA. If he gets going, there's literally nothing you can do about it. He starts the game with an 87-yard run. You know he's going for like 150 plus at that point. Once he starts going, there's nothing you can do. Lamar Jackson didn't have to run, but that's kind of what you want. You want him to kind of control the game, run the ball with Derrick Henry, which makes Lamar's legs even more dangerous because now you're worried about Derrick Henry running the ball. The Ravens kind of just did everything they wanted to do. Started off really high, got the Bills falling behind. Josh Allen couldn't get anybody open. Really, this is what everybody expected the Ravens to be. They expected the Ravens to be a great running team. And that's what they were able to do with Derrick Henry. They got the scheme working with Derrick Henry, just give him the ball. I knew read option with Derrick Henry was not going to work. That's not his style of running. It never has been. But if you can just give him the ball, he works with that. And once they start doing that, it worked this game. It's going to work for the rest of the season. The Ravens are going to be a dangerous team. And for the Bills, it's just they were going to hit this game. At some point, they were going to have a game. Team was going to hit them in the mouth. They're going to take it. They're still going to be a good team. I expect them to be a playoff team. But this is just the Ravens we expect to see.
Yeah, it is. And it goes back to what we saw last season. I mean, the thing that I found so impressive about Baltimore is not just that they had great defense and great running game and all that, but it was the fact that they were smoking really good teams. I mean, they blew out Detroit last year. Seattle was not a playoff team, but they had a winning record. They blew out the 49ers on the road. They blew out the Dolphins. So, like, their ability to not just beat good teams, but to kind of humiliate good teams. To your point, that's what we saw from the year ago, and that's to a certain level what we expected from this year. So seeing what they did to the Buffalo Bills, I think validated that in many ways. In this round, Tim, thought you had the best take. I'm going to give you the 5 points here to start up in first place. Mike Guido in second place, and Paris Brown. I'll give you the point. EJ, I'm sorry, my man. Come up empty-handed in this round, but we'll see what you can do in the second round.